Now it's time for the ultimate in drop cookie desserts. I'm turning peanut butter cookies into warm peanut butter cookie cakes, and these have a gooey caramel center to them. It starts with making the caramel sauce. This is a butter caramel, so it's a thicker style of caramel sauce. I've got my heat set on high right off the top. In my pot, I'll pour in about 3 tablespoons of water. This way, when I add my 1 cup of sugar, it immediately starts melting with the water. And I'll pour in about a tablespoon of corn syrup. And you don't want to stir now that you've got heat coming in contact with the sugar. And it'll take about 5 to 7 minutes for the sugar to turn a nice amber color. And there we go. I have a lovely amber tone. Now, measure a 1/4 cup of whipping cream to cool down the caramel so it doesn't caramelize too much further. Watch out for the steam. And once that is stirred in, have ready a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. Oh, look at that beautiful, rich color. I'll cool it down to room temperature and then chill it. You want to work with the caramel sauce while it's chilled. It'll set up firmly. While that's cooling down, I can make the peanut butter cookie cake dough. It starts with 1/2 cup of soft unsalted butter and 1/2 cup of regular granulated sugar and 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. Just as if I were making peanut butter cookies, I'll cream the butter and sugar together. Now that I've got the butter and sugar properly creamed, I need 2/3 of a cup of peanut butter. I like to use creamy peanut butter. I'll stir that in. Now I need 2 eggs. Just like when making traditional drop cookie dough, you want your eggs at room temperature. And I'll mix them in 1 at a time. With the second egg, I'll add a teaspoon of vanilla. Now for the dry ingredients, a cup of all-purpose flour, and then add a full teaspoon of baking powder. This is a common ingredient found in cakes, and it's really gonna help the cookie dough rise up and bake over the caramel center. In addition to that, I need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda as well. And lastly, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll sift this through. And just as if I were making a batch of peanut butter cookies, stir this until blended. There we go. Looks just like cookie dough. Because these are individual desserts, I have 6 ramekins. Each has been greased with the inside coated with sugar. This allows the dessert to turn out easily, but also develops a nice crust on the outside. I'm going to use a simple piping bag without a tip at all. Using a piping bag allows you to get the cookie batter into the cups far easier. Snip the end off of the piping bag and pipe a layer at the bottom of each of the ramekins and then a little ring around the sides, leaving a nice little space for the chilled caramel to go. I'm saving a little bit of the cookie dough to cover the caramel once it goes inside the ramekin. Now, I've got a batch of the butter caramel that is fully chilled down. And when you dig into it, you can really get a sense how it's set up. Nice and stretchy. And I just drop a bit right in the center of the cake. This butter caramel is easy to manage cold, but believe me, it turns gooey when it's warmed up. This is the kind of caramel I would make if I were making caramel candies and then dipping them in chocolate. Now, with the remaining cookie dough, I'll pipe right over to completely cover that caramel center. Don't worry if the cookie cakes don't look precise and polished at this point. Just like a drop cookie, the dough itself will melt and spread and fill the ramekin evenly. And there we go. If you were to bake them now, the caramel would actually drop and sink to the bottom of the cookie cake itself. What you need to do is freeze them until they're firm. It takes 2 to 3 hours to do this. Then, to bake them, they go right from the freezer into the oven. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. It takes about 20 minutes for them to cook. You'll see that they start turning golden brown, and when they start doming up, then it's time to pull them from the oven. You can smell the peanut butter. And you can tell, even by the tops, it looks just like a peanut butter cookie. Got the nice golden brown cap, and while it's crunchy on the outside, you know it's gonna be soft and cakey in the center. Make sure you hold it with a tea towel, and using an offset spatula, just run it loosely around, and I'll bring the plate up to it, and then turn it over, and then reveal what looks like an innocent little warm, nondescript cake Except when you cut into it, oh, look at that caramel running out. Don't you just want to dive into it?